with red hot stories from post game, interviews, analysis, within the hour, right here at the Growler.
All right, welcome into the latest edition of the Walkout, our training camp recaps. Paul Dehner Jr., Jay Morrison here inside the Bengals press conference room. We're recapping practices 13 and 14, Jay. We like to call these deep cuts for those of you that really love this stuff. And we know there are plenty of you sickos out there that do love this stuff. So we're kind of going through two pretty heavy practices from the last 2 days, two of their last big practice sessions until we really start talking about final cuts. They have 4 practices and 2 games left, but those practices both are going to be kind of so close and sandwiched around the games that these were the last 2 real big heavy practice days before you see the roster take true shape. We've got takeaways, we've got some plays, and we've got some things that we heard them say that we're going to get into here. Let's start off with today. What was yours?
So where you want to start with something they say?
Let's go takeaway.
Well, obviously the fight was the big takeaway today. Stories up about everything that went down if you haven't seen it or heard. But a lot of things were said. A lot of things happened in the run-up to the fight itself. But my biggest takeaway is this was handled the right way. Number one, a rookie like Shamar Stewart, who has a penchant for saying things he probably shouldn't, didn't talk today. He said today is not the day when he was asked to talk after the fight. Probably a smart thing. I thought Lucas Patrick and Ted Karras as veterans stepping up and talking about it. TJ Slayton as well said all the things you want to hear in a situation like this. They said they didn't agree with what Shamar did and said it had to be addressed. But as Ted pointed out, it wasn't a shut down the practice kind of fight. They said their piece, threw their punches, did what they had to do, and then they moved on, went on with practice. So I think it was handled in the right way. It's day 14. That was the first fight. That's kind of surprising. And you know, I talked to Ted about it, and he said back in the spring, Zach said that he wants us to be the closest team in the NFL. He's like, I've really taken that to heart. I think everybody has. I think there's a lot of respect. I think there's a lot of friendships on both sides of the ball. And I don't think that the fact that there hasn't been a fight in 14 practices is an indictment on a lack of passion. It's just people being good professionals. And that's what happened today with the way they handled the fallout from it.
I mean, there's certainly been moments and pushes and shoves that we've seen as things have gone. That's only natural. But I think it's when something comes close to Burrow and in a play is Shamar Stewart ends up coming around the corner, kind of gets a push in the back and loses his balance and is directed towards Burrow and ends up hitting Burrow low. And when people see that, and you see number 9 on the ground because of that, it sets off the obvious reaction. It's mostly on Shamar Stewart here. Like, you got to know when you're coming around that you're not trying to attack aggressively, whether you got pushed a little bit or not. Like, there's no reason to go into it. But I'm with you, and the fact that it seems like there was maybe an apology made towards Burrow there in the locker room. We obviously aren't privy to exactly what they said, but it seemed like that happened as well in there. I'm with you. It does seem like it was handled the right way, but how about it doesn't happen? Like, you know, and I know there's over-aggression and things that happen out there, but the only thing that can't happen is that you have a situation where somebody is getting free shot on Joe Burrow. Well, maybe if there was better protection, Jay, you wouldn't have to worry about this as well. And I think that's kind of been such a big part of this. And my takeaway has been, again, these last couple of days, and it's kind of been a theme throughout the practices. Defensive line is doing a lot of winning, man. Like, and we've seen it come up where Lucas Patrick has struggled in the game the other day. He's kind of at the part of a couple of these. The one here today with Shamar is another play I want to bring to you, and this is one play, one example of sort of the stuff that we're talking about, where you get guys running up in his face. This is kind of from the other direction version of what happened in the fight play with Shamar. Here's let's bring this one up here. So watch from the right side. Joseph Ossai is going to come in, and Lucas Patrick needs to be the one to spot it and get him, and just doesn't. And Ossai's coming right into Burrow's face there on that one. Let's bring it back here again. Watch coming off this right side. Lucas Patrick should see it. Joseph Ossai's coming in. Lucas Patrick looks one way, sees him. There it is. Okay. You see the guy, he's coming around. You got to make the play. What happens? No, nothing, no peace in a whiff. That type of stuff, that's the stuff that's going to get your quarterback hurt. That's the stuff that's problematic. And we've just kind of, in my opinion, seen far too much of that throughout the entirety of these practices. And this very sloppy offensive practice is another example of that.
Yeah, it is. And they didn't have Orlando Brown Jr. today, but most of the stuff today was coming up the middle. It wasn't coming off the edge, like the fight play, the play you just showed there. So, and it goes back to what we've been talking about, what Mo was harping on. Guard is an issue, and it has been since the spring, and it remains so.
Yeah, and again, and tackle depth, right?
Yeah.
Cody Ford out there again today. Not saying it's an issue, but when you see it again, Orlando's not here. Okay, you don't have him for a day, and now you're out here, and you're just seeing it's immediately we're right back to where you were last year, where you're counting on Cody Ford to come out and play tackle. Not something that he's designed to do, or that they kind of designed this line for him to be the one to have to do, but yet they're already immediately right back there with that. Let's get into a play. You got a play for me?
Yeah, so a couple plays actually. Yesterday we saw, again, 13 practices into camp, the first of something surprising, the first Joe Burrow interception when Jordan Battle kind of undercuts an over route and jumps in front of Mitch Tinsley, grabs it, takes it the other way. He said it would have been a pick six, even if it was a game. Nobody chased him in practice. That was notable just because of the fact that it is the interception of Joe Burrow's training camp 2025. It almost happened again today. And today was a microcosm of everything we just talked. The protection was so bad today. That made Burrow so bad today. The opening drive for the offense, they had is 8 plays. They went down, they scored a touchdown, although TJ Slayton probably sacks Joe Burrow on the touchdown pass to T. Higgins. After that, 4 drives, 3 and outs. Burrow 4 of 12 with 2 of the 4 completions being screens. One of the incompletions was a screen that TJ Slayton, it should have been a touchdown. It should have been an interception. It might have been a pick six. It was a short middle screen to Noah Fant. Slayton's right there. The ball hits him in the neck. It falls down. He was blaming a thumb guard that he was wearing. He's like, where are the cameras? This is what cost the interception. He held it up. He was joking around, obviously, but he did say he had a pick six of Aaron Rodgers, a pick six of Jordan Love in camp in Green Bay. He said he's had a pick six in every training camp of his career, and one's coming in this camp. So he basically called his shot that he's going to get one against Joe Burrow. But it was just, to not have an interception for the first 12 practices and then almost back-to-back days, it was notable. And it was a good play. Burrow just didn't look like Burrow today, and maybe he was shook a little by, getting hit, getting knocked down. But that play by TJ Slayton really stood out to me today.
My play is something, Jay, I've been spending an inordinate amount of time writing and dissecting things in the tight end room lately. And I go back to, they were so enamored with Eric all last year and what he brought to the offense. I remember in these camp practices, seeing them start using that motion across and all as this crack blocker. Yep. And they were just, they just turned it into a whole package and changed in a large ways their offense because of him. I think I might have seen something the last 2 days that's making me think the same thing from Noah Fant. Tight end screens have popped up 2 days in a row, and they have been fun to see. His skill set and his yards after the catch ability, but he can also give you, he's big enough where he's a little bit more, they have 2 very different rooms there. You have Drew Sample and Cam Grandy, who aren't really going to catch the ball. And you have Tanner Hudson and Mike Gesicki, who aren't really going to block a soul. And then you have Noah Fant, the closest thing in the middle, even though he's far more receiver than he is blocker. But the ability to use his yards after catch and his athletic traits that made him a first-round pick as a tight end screen could be a really dangerous weapon for them to pull out as teams do what? Focus so much on what's happening in the routes with Jamar or get worried about Chase Brown. Yep. When you start tossing in these other little things that can be counters to how defenses are going to play you, it can be extremely dangerous. And Fant's skill set really does play out for that. And you're starting to see ways that they can start to use those guys as they get it rolling.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe if TJ Slayton intercepts that, they do away with the Noah Fant screen.
Yeah.
But he didn't. So it's still in the book.
Still in the book. So that's coming your way. All right. What do they got? A thing that they say?
So a thing that they say, Lucas Patrick did talk after Shamar said he didn't want to talk after the fight. I thought Lucas Patrick might, but I asked him and he said, sure. So he started talking and he talked about the fight. He just said he kind of put it more on them. They got to do a better job protecting number 9. And then Ben Baby asked him about Shamar's development since he came into practice. What was it? 11, 9, 10 practices ago. And Lucas Patrick said his play speed is pretty significant. You can tell he's starting to get comfortable. I mean, there's not too many guys who can get to full speed in 2 to 3 steps like he can. It's great to practice against, and it's a great guy to work fundamentals against and see somebody who can move like that. There's very few people on this planet who can cover ground like him at the line of scrimmage. And it just goes back to what Al Golden has said, what they've all said, that the reason they were enamored with Shamar Stewart is because of those physical traits. And it's going to be getting him to play smarter in practice, getting him to finish when they get into these games. But he's there. He's disruptive a lot of times. And some of that is on the O-line, not looking up to par. But for him to be just so early in his career after missing all of spring and the first week of camp, it just continues to ascend. And you got to prove it in the games, but you have to like what you've seen from him so far.
Yeah. Mine is going to be for something from Ted Karras today, which was he was sort of talking about today, a rough day for the offense and talking about needing to flush it, go into the meeting and figure it out, and was asked kind of what I think they're going to say in the meeting. And it was it included the line, "Don't suck so bad," is probably what they're going to say in the meeting. And I think that it's hard to come away from this and not say that today, because this was a sloppy practice, not just from some of the things like protection wise and some of these other things that we've talked about thus far.
Yeah.
Flags, delay, false starts, some of the operational stuff that we heard Zach Taylor sit up here behind and be very frustrated about from the last game, the stuff that needs to flush out of their system. We kind of saw it again show up again today. It was just sloppy in a lot of ways. It just felt like it wasn't crisp in general offensively. And that stuff, the flags, the operational stuff is stuff they've been harping on, and it's just not out yet. And so you hear that and you say this is kind of where they're at. They're still trying to work through some of those same problems that we saw in Philadelphia.
And they set this practice up to be heavy on competition. They went inside yesterday to have a lighter day, a comfortable day, an energy day in the air conditioning in the indoor facility, knowing that today was going to be super competitive, get a lot of good work in, is what Zach said. And it was good work for the defense, but it was not good work for the offense.
No. Good work for us, though. I hope you guys have enjoyed the latest of the training camp recaps.
We won't fight.
No, absolutely not, because we do everything the right way.
That's
okay.
Right.
But yeah, we have the walkout will be coming your way, presented by Joe's Toyota Cincinnati on Monday night after the game in DC, so you can look out for that coming your way. And Who Dey Light also coming this week. A couple more practices. We'll see how heavy or light those end up being. I think it's going to be more of a easing into the game that is coming in on Monday, but still we've got you covered. Send those questions if you have any questions for Who Dey Light to the Growler Podcast at gmail.com. Let us know what you want to know. All right, thanks everybody for watching and for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.